Hey everyone, it's Donuts, and today we're going to answer the question which is asked 1 million times a day. Who should I put in my team? Yes, this is a guide on how to select 4 characters or 8 characters, especially for your Spiral Abyss team. If you are a beginner player or even an experienced player, listen closely and I'm sure you will learn a thing or two. So the first thing we need to know is, what role does your character play? Are they a damage dealer or are they a DPS? Are they a support character? If you want to read the notes here, you can pause the video. But don't worry, we will come back to this page and show you which characters belong to which role. For now, let's continue watching and see these roles in action. Selfish DPS. Characters like Diluc, Klee, Kating, Ningguang, Razor, Child. Why do I call them selfish DPS? These characters, they do a lot of damage when they are on the field. They can fill the DPS downtime with auto attacks when your spells are on cooldown. But the moment you switch them away, they don't do anything for your team. They leave no elements behind for the next character to use. Support DPS. So these are characters that leave something behind for the next character to use. For example, if I use Xingqiu's ultimate or Keia's ultimate, for the next 15 seconds or 8 seconds, I have Hydro Swords helping my character to attack, or I have some icicles spinning around me that can help to freeze or superconduct the enemy I am hitting. Support DPS characters are very flexible because they can fill the main DPS or selfish DPS role and be a field enabler, which we will talk about later. Turret type characters. Currently we only have 2, which are Fischl and Xiangling. So they can summon a pet that does quite good damage to the enemy even if I am AFK. And God do I love AFKing and seeing the enemy die after I get back from the toilet. Field enabler. Now this is the most important role. It's basically what the game is all about. Elemental reactions. I say field because these characters lay out a radius or a field of elemental damage, and then your big carry switches in to do the big elemental reaction. Some characters are better at this role because their field is bigger or wider, or because their skill ticks more times per second. If your enabler applies element status more frequently on enemies, it is easier for your big carry to be the second element coming in and do the reaction damage. Healers. Well, this category is pretty straightforward. They will top up your HP whenever your characters are injured. Some of the best healers in the game now are Qiqi and Bennett. And some of the free-to-play healers we can get are Barbara and Noelle. Shield breaker. Now this is another important category. You want characters that have elements that counter the enemy's shield. If it is a Pyro Fatui shooter, Barbara's Hydro auto attacks will break the shield very quickly. If it is an Electro Fatui, you can use Keia or Chongyin's cryo attacks to quickly break their shield. In this category, characters with multiple hits on their spells or low cooldown spells will be fast shield breakers. Catalyst users like Barbara, Mona, Klee, whose auto attacks are elements, will also break shields really quickly. Shielders. These are characters that grant you a shield so that you prevent taking some damage. All the Geo characters can generate shields for your team through the crystallized reaction. The newer characters like Diona, Zhongli, and Xinyan can also make a shield for you with their first spell. Shields are useful but not a critical thing to have right now, but sometimes they may just save you from a one-hit KO. Buffer or debuffers. Characters that have innate spells which buff your other characters. For example, Bennett's ult gives your whole team more attack. Sucrose can give more elemental mastery to your party. Mona's ult allows you to do 42% more damage to the enemy. Crowd control. These characters can suck or vacuum the enemies together so that it's easier for your AoE spells to hit them. Venti is the best character for CC now. Sucrose is decent too at grouping enemies together. You can use other Anemo characters like Anemo MC and Jean as well. Here's a good list to see which role each character belongs to. It's not 100% complete, as some characters like Klee can break Geo shields and Cryo shields, but I didn't put her picture under the shield breakers because there's just not enough space. You'll notice some characters can perform multiple roles, which just makes them so useful for your team. Please take the time to pause the video here if you want to take a snapshot, and you can send them to your friends. So now that you understand character roles, here are 6 questions to ask yourself who to select for my team. The first question you need to ask yourself is, do you have the basic 4 character lineup? This means that I should have 1 main DPS, 1 DPS support, 1 healer, and 1 filler that can do anything else. This means that I have a DPS which can do the auto attacks, I have the DPS support which can cast some spells and also do some damage if my main DPS has some cooldowns. I need a healer so that, well, if I'm injured, it will heal my HP back to full. And the 4th slot, you can put anything like someone who breaks shields, someone who buffs your team, or maybe a crowd control character. So for the Spiral Abyss, you need to have 2 sets of these teams, Team 1 and Team 2. They should basically have the same setup. 2 characters that do damage, 1 healer, and the 4th slot is flexible. Now, a lot of you like to show the list of all your characters, like 20 over characters, and ask the question, so who should I put in my team next? Well, the second question you need to ask is look at your current lineup and their levels. I'm sure your favorite characters or main DPS are already like level 70 or level 80, and it's a lot of your characters that are low on levels, level 1, level 20, that you are not sure who to select. So what I can say is, don't waste resources on low level characters, especially like level 1 characters, unless you have thought about it and you really need that character and their kit. So are you missing cryo characters because you need 2 cryo characters to break 2 Electro Fatui shields in the Abyss? Then you need to level perhaps a Keia, a Chongyun, or a Diona to level 20 or level 40 to help out. It's the same for their weapons, talents, and artifacts, but the character levels is the first thing you look at on the character page to decide who to level up next. The third question you need to ask yourself, and this is the most important question for Abyss, what elements are required for the specific Abyss floor? For example, on floor 7, because of the Cryo Fatui as well as the Electro Fatui on each half, you will need to bring 1 Pyro and 1 Cryo character per team. On floor 10, because there are Pyro shielded enemies on both halves, you will need to bring 2 Hydro characters or 1 Hydro character per team. So remember, you need to bring elements to do the shield breaking of these shielded enemies. So bring the right elements and the right characters to the Abyss. 4th question you can ask yourself is, can I do some elemental reactions or multipliers? So who should I put as my 3rd or 4th character in team? If I want to do melt damage, you want to bring Pyro and Cryo characters in. If you are a Pyro DPS like Diluc, maybe if you put in a Cryo support like Diona, she will enhance the damage of your Diluc. It's the same for Vaporize. Maybe I have Child or Mona or Xingqiu as my DPS, so I want to bring a Pyro support like, for example, Xiangling or Xinyan, and then I can do big 200% Vaporize damage on my Child. If you are going for a physical DPS team like Razor, Superconduct would be very useful, so you can bring a Cryo support like Keia, and Razor is the one doing the Superconduct, and the enemies will have 40% less physical resistance and you do big damage. 5th question you need to ask yourself, can I pair 2 elements to get elemental resonance? This means that you need 2 of the same elements in your party. If you've not taken a look at the elemental resonance page, this is a really big buff you can get. For example, 2 Pyro characters will give you a 25% attack bonus to your entire team, whereas 2 Geo characters will give you a plus 15% attack if your character is under a shield. And for 2 Cryo characters, you can get a 15% extra crit rate if you hit an enemy which is under the Cryo status. And the last one, Number 6, look at your available weapons. Do you have a good 4-star or 5-star weapon that is perfect for this character? For example, maybe you have a Skyward Heart Bow, which is a 5-star bow, so maybe that would be a good DPS weapon for your official or child. Or maybe you have a Sacrificial Sword, it's a 4-star sword that gives energy recharge and allows your first spell to be used again. So the Sacrificial Sword is a perfect sword for support characters like Xingqiu, TT and even Bennett. So maybe because you have the good weapon for a certain character, that is the character you want to level up next. Alright guys, I hope that after watching this video, you are better able to select the characters that are needed for your team. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe and perhaps share it with some friends. Thank you for watching and see you next time.